Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim, and we've been talking about narcissistic CEOs, right? I told you, the academicians have the luxury to be, narcissistic in their own way and sacrificing their social lives. But that means our lives are cold and hungry. 춥고 배고파요, right? It's like not much money we can earn. Okay, it's just if you get tenured, which means you're lucky. If you're lucky, you will, have job security until 65 years old or something. That's good part. But the salary is minimal, right? Not much, not upside potential. No. But if you are a business person, right? If you want to become a successful businessman, you should never be narcissistic. Because you have to pay much more attention to outside world and your friends, and you care about the society and care about, other people's, right? What do they do? What do they like more? Where's a new way of transacting? What is a new way of fashions and things like that? All right. New ways of whatever in everyday lives, right? Using this kind of pen or that kind of pen. You should pay attention to other people so much. That means you have to be very, very socially skilled, highly skilled, and you have to be street smart. Academicians, we are narcissistic, and then we are book smart, right? Self-indulged or indulged into books too much, so that we lose a lot of chances. Oh, Andy, you have the luxury. I envy your luxury. No, come on. That luxury comes at an expense called money, right? If you become a businessman, you can earn seriously billions of dollars, okay, with a similar ability level or something, I would say, right? I brought you guys the Bain Consulting CEO, right? Korea Bain Consulting co-CEO, right? Have been earning millions of dollars, right? Similar score in my middle school ages, right? Or elementary schools. But business way versus academic way, totally different in terms of those compensation. And the upside potential, businessman unlimited. 뭐 아니면 또 kind of things, right? That's great, man. Go ahead and do it. Explore that, right? That's what you need. And that's, helps your social skill and makes you a pleasant person. Anyway, so narcissism, right? Overconfidence is different. Of course, the commonality between narcissistic person and overconfident person, we don't like to be associated with those guys. We don't like that person usually. But that's that. Doesn't overconfidence cause narcissism or vice versa? No. Instead, narcissist's self-esteem is weak. So he or she tries to have positive reinforcement about himself or herself from others. Now 어떻게 보여? It's like how do I look? Always carrying a mirror or something, and then here, do I look good? Kind of things. Typical entertainer, yes, the guys who are good at those stages and then know how to look good or attention drawing, they are more narcissistic than not. Yeah, entertainers. Right, narcissist believes that he or she has to be greatest, the smartest, the coolest, and obsessed to be better than others. Right? So he or she tells himself or herself so. 나는 위대한 사람이야. It's kind of, I am a great person. I'm supposed to be great. I told you, narcissism has a positive drive. You don't need to be completely devoid of narcissism. There is a positive side of narcissism that drives you try to attain higher level, aim high, right? And makes you run, okay? Keep on running. That's good. That energy is good. But not to the extreme, please, right? That's the message. When the time comes that he or she realizes that his or her inflated self-image is not supported by the reality, he or she starts to torture himself or herself. I mean, Korean high school situation. You must have seen some guys doing like every exam, he or she gets the perfect score. 전교 1등 every year, every month, right? We used to have every month, we had like Literally every single month we had exams. And then there were some guys who were getting perfect score every single exam over there. Not me. No, not me. I was more volatile guy. Sometimes number one, sometimes 100. And it's like blah, 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 blah. But there were some guys who were always number one. And then all of a sudden, he slaps himself. Like, why did I? And then torture himself, and then crying like crazy. 나 같으면 죽어야 돼. It's like I should kill myself or something like that. Why? I was like, why do you cry? And then he said, oh, you know what? I got one question wrong. I used to get everything perfect. It's like, to me, I'm like, only if I could achieve 99, I'm like almost 95 or something. But the guy was different, right? There are some guys like this, right? Torturing himself like that. That's a typical symptom of narcissism. And you may wonder, those guys who are nerdy guys with studying hard and then 모범생, like always, 엄친딸, like my parents always say, Andy, why don't you study hard like that guy over there? Like always getting a perfect score. 엄친아. That 엄친아 kind of like a model case, like a geeky guy, right? Not a geeky guy, but the study hard guy. Those kind of guys tend to be more narcissistic than not, unfortunately. Or there, right? Seriously. One of my friend ended in mental institution. He is still there. Got into 서울대 경제학과, and then the SNU business, the economics major in his first try, and then next year he came back to 종로학원 to do 재수, like second try. Why? Because he wanted to get into law school. What? That kind of things happen. No good. Anyway, you will not understand in this generation because law school is something graduate level, and then the economics, you don't know what it means to be in SNU economics, right? Everybody cares about the business major only. Econ major is something called second tier these days, but at that moment, at that year, 서울대 법대 or 경제학과 was better than 서울대 경영학과, and then still, simply because it's not 서울대 법대, going to 종로학원. That's not good. Anyway, so I should shut up myself, right? Anyway, so that kind of thing is a symptom of narcissism. Very serious problem. You have to be more aware of it. Isn't the guys who are good at studying also have a good personality? No. In that sense, narcissism is a huge problem. The guys or girls may be more introvert. If that is the case, it is even harder to recognize that. And then it is even harder to cure it. So you have to be careful about that. One good way of reducing narcissism is patting on your shoulder. 잘했어, it's okay, right? And so that's something you have to recognize. For CEO level, I told you before that you should not be narcissistic because you have to be sensitive to others' movement, right? Others' trend, the new trend, what they do like, right? What do they like, right? But there are some highly narcissistic CEOs as well, okay, just like any other human beings, right? What's the typical symptom of narcissism we can capture using big data? Well, linguistic symptom. We have the CEO's interview transcript, right? Or letters to shareholders. In there, they tend to use more I, my, me, mine word instead of we, us, our, ours words, right? Or myself versus ourselves, right? First person pronoun versus first person singular pronoun. So the numerator is first person singular pronoun, 단수. Myself has to be here. And then the denominator is all first person pronouns, right? Regardless of plural or singular, right? In speech or interviews and things like that. And then it's a big data approach of capturing those narcissism. And these kind of guys, if the CEO is much more narcissistic, their annual, researchers found out, right, that the annual report, 사업 보고서 of the company, they usually place the CEO's face picture like biggest one, bigger, larger than life, kind of, and the whole page is CEO's face or himself or herself. Whereas the board members or other colleagues in top management team, they're like small, tiny, relative to the CEO. Okay, it's just like North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un versus the rest of the guys are like small guys. That's narcissistic culture. Anyway, so that's that. Not the culture, but the leader. Yes. And then the signature size of the person is huge. Okay. One good experimental setting, okay, that the researchers found is that in annual report in the United States since 2002, okay, all those CEOs and CFOs started to have to sign write a signature in every annual report, accounting report they produce, right? After being audited by the accounting firms. Why? Because of Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act was about bringing more accounting transparency and increasing corporate governance, the strength of the check and balance against the CEOs and CFOs. What if they, deceive the shareholders so that, we want them to be truth-telling in their accounting report. Otherwise, we're going to have Enron debacle kind of things again. So what's the way of doing it? Well, one of the ways was bringing the CEOs and CFOs and have them sign on their first page of the annual report. CEOs and CFOs signing on the same sized A4 paper for everyone. Now, the same standardized way of doing it, but the size of the sign matters over there. Different persons with different narcissism shows up over there. And as it turns out, the CEOs whose sign is big, their company sucks later. Their performance in the stock market tends to be worse, statistically significantly. It's not just the testing among like a couple of, or 50 or 60-ish different CEOs, but it's about huge amount of, big data. And there's so many different tens of thousands of companies' data, right? They tend to destroy shareholder values if they're narcissistic. And then because they are narcissistic, whenever they do M&As, they do more attention-grabbing, splashy M&As, okay? I'm not saying that they're doing mergers and acquisitions too often or not, but their M&As tend to be much more attention-grabbing. Like, for example, I am a small company like this small, tiny company, and my target is like this big. Oh, that's attention grabbing, right? So that kind of M&A happens for narcissistic CEOs. And then 감당하실 수 있겠습니까? If you take over this guy, can you really handle it, right? Kind of things happen. Vivendi in France, the CEO was notoriously narcissistic in that sense and got fired. And that's what we typically find if we study the big data of the CEO narcissism. And what do you see? Who do you see? Elon Musk. Oh, Musk 형님. Oh, yeah. And then he has been showing the symptom of narcissistic CEOs. Number one, he's coming too frequently to the media. And then he enjoys Twitter writing and influencing the shareholders too much, up to the excessive level. You know what happened during this, Dogecoin things, right? Not to speak of, GameStonk kind of things, right? The short squeeze. And then later on, Dogecoin kind of things. And he's showing up to the SNL. And then this guy said, what is Dogecoin? And then, isn't it a hustle? And then he said, what? Yeah, it's a hustle. And then the Dogecoin price plunged down later on. Any of you invested in that sense? I hope you did not. But anyway, so that's a typical symptom of narcissism. And lo and behold, last night, there has been a debate in the US Congress that the billionaires now has to be subject to a special tax law, that they're trying to tax those billionaires about their capital gains in their stock holdings. Even though they did not realize the gain in cash, they did not sell it, but simply because my stock holdings value jumped up like whatever times, that I have to pay tax. That's the idea. Well, thinking about the other side of it, what if the stock market plunges so that these billionaires lose money? Cap loss. Would the government repay it in cash to this billionaire? That's a problem, but they, Anyway, so the Elon Musk was criticizing this kind of movement in legislature, and then he tweeted like this: much is made lately of unrealized gains being a means of tax avoidance. So I propose selling 10% of my Tesla stock. Oh my God, he has 17 percentage point of ownership or something of the company, right? And then 10% of that, you're selling it. He doesn't mean that 10 percentage point out of 17 percentage point, right? But I guess 10%, which means 1.7% or something of the Tesla stock. Do you support this or not? Totally new way of drawing attention. Yes or no? And majority said yes. Now what? That's a big question. Interesting thing. Anyway, so that's a typical symptom of narcissistic CEO. Is it good for Tesla? No, the research find that it's not. But the price is even higher these days, going higher and higher and higher. Bubble, huge bubble. And then accounting performance, or what is it? The stock performance of the narcissistic CEO, you see more minus, right? For big signed CEOs, narcissistic CEO, as opposed to non-narcissistic CEOs. And personally, right? In my, myself, I told you that I'm more narcissistic. That's why I do YouTube kind of things for you. Good side of it is that I try to do my best in my teaching, and I hope you like it. But the bad side is I don't want to go to the extreme. Oh, no. Somebody has to stop me. But what I thank God about it is that my wife, her narcissism score turns out to be 3, mine is 7, average 5. Balancing each other out. And then my wife, her signature is very, very small. Mine is big. Andy, yeah, I'm important one. But my wife is and I say, oh my God, that's so pity. Why don't you increase your size of the signature? And then she's like, what are you doing out there? That looks ugly. You are not that important guy, Andy. You are not that important guy, Andy. Which is a wake-up call. And that, brings me back to the reality. That's good. And that's why I tell you, go ahead and read this book. Okay? Read this book together with your maybe girlfriend or boyfriend, and then future spouse, and see what's the score of yourself and what's the score of your partner, right? If this is balancing like this, I think that's great. But chances are narcissistic persons, birds of a feather flock together so that they end up making friends with narcissistic boyfriend or girlfriend and get easily sick and tired of each other. They get infatuated easily. Niyan and Nareba, it's I see myself in you. I love you so much. But quickly they get sick and tired of it and then dump each other. That's not good. So first of all, you have to pray hard. Whatever religion you may belong to, right? Pray hard. It's because it's a luck. But second, assess how much narcissistic you are. instead of doing those stupid, what is it, the 16 different personal characteristics, MBTI kind of things. Yeah, I should not say stupid, but yeah, it's not that convincing. It's not that simple, right? Whereas this one, we have one uniform scale. Very simple and easy. So go ahead and do it for your friends, right? Girlfriend and boyfriend. What the hell are you doing, Mr. Donald Trump? Yeah, narcissism is not always bad. If narcissism is well directed, the person can achieve something great and extraordinary. Usually Nobel Prize winners, yeah, I told you about this. And then, oh yeah, talking about the president, Donald Trump, right? Here, I took the last 100 words of his convention, the acceptance speech as the presidential candidate, right? And the last, I mean, the Democrat versus Republican, once they compete internally, against the internal candidates, they accept, oh, I am the, Republican candidate of the United States for this presidential election. And for that event, they bring the speech, right? I took the speech transcript and then got into the final 100 words. Why final 100 words? Because that is the conclusion part. You bring all those essence of your message and then brings your philosophy together with it, mixing it, right? So that your natural self will show up over here, okay? So I compare this between Democratic and then Republican presidential candidate of the United States. Isn't it interesting, right? Let's see which one is of Donald Trump and which one is the Democratic candidate. Like at that time it was like Hillary Clinton. Okay, so let's go. That, and so have many others since. They were drawn together by a love of country and the selfless passion to build something better for all who follow. That is the story of America, and we begin a new chapter tonight. Yes, the world is watching what we do. Yes, America's destiny is ours to choose. So let's be stronger together, looking to the future with courage and confidence, building a better tomorrow for our beloved children and our beloved country. When we do, America will be greater than ever. Thank you, and may God bless the United States of America. So how many times do we see first person pronouns showing up? 5 times, 6 times or 5 times? Why do I see 6? Yeah, the calculation over here is wrong. 6, right? 6. And then how many times? I mean, all of it are first person plural, right? We word, right? How many I word, right? First person singular pronoun, 0. So whatever it may be, the number of narcissism score is 0. Okay? It can go up to 100%, but this is 0%, right? Now, what about the second candidate? I choose to recite a different pledge. My pledge reads, I am with you, the American people. I am your voice. So to every parent who dreams for their child and every child who dreams for their future, I say these words to you tonight. I am with you, and I will fight for you, and I will win for you. Who? I. To all Americans tonight, in all our cities and towns, I make this promise. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. So how many times first person pronouns showed up? 14 times. Out of it, 9, right, 9 were singular. I, my, me, mine 9 times. And we were 5 times only. So narcissism score, 65%. Okay. If we exclude the propaganda slogan, right? Make America great again, right? This part excluded, then it should be 90% over here. So who must be Trump? Yeah, this one. And the thing is, here, he says, as if he is a superhero in Avengers or something, or as if he is a Batman or Iron Man to save the world. And the thing is, political science, they find that people in difficult situations, I mean, the country people, right? The voters, if they suffer from prolonged depression or economic hardships for a long time, for example, Great Depression, or especially the Great Recession in 2008 and 9, right? Prolonged recession. And then people get divided, and then the polarization happens, and poor people get even poorer, rich people get richer, and then the structural problem worsens for them, for the poor people. This kind of helpless situation, people tend to look for superheroes. Perhaps that's why these days we have so many superhero movies from DC or whatever, right? Marvel's comics. And then the superhero searching, that feeds into those election setting as well. So that the person who position himself or herself as a superhero in that setting, I will deliver you out of that trouble, I will be the problem solver for you, kind of things, right? People will applaud. You are the one, man, charismatic. That turns out to be actually more narcissistic persons. We have to watch out for that. We thirst for superhero, and those seemingly superhero have a higher chance of being narcissistic leader, which is detrimental to the society as a whole. 난세가 영웅을 부른다. There's a Korean, famous Korean old saying, difficult crisis invites heroes. But in reality, you may end up with narcissistic leaders whose impact may differ case by case, but usually ruinous, because those narcissistic leaders' policy will be more attention grabbing only. They are good at attention grabbing, so that it may stimulate your senses. Oh, that's so cool for a certain group of people, their supporters. But for the other peoples, they will hate it so much. This is attention grabbing. They keep on fighting even more. But the leader doesn't care about the opposers. They're cold-blooded. Narcissistic CEOs, narcissistic guys, right? They don't care. They're self-indulged. Oh, my idea is super. Theirs, it's worth sacrificing them. Kill them all. Worsening the situation. And you saw what happened as you elected those narcissistic leaders, right? In America. Korea experienced this kind of trouble a couple of years before America. I was like, you guys, American guys, should learn from Korea. We elected narcissistic person a couple of years before, and we had enough of trouble. But, they don't learn. Anyway, so that's that. In Korea, we're going to have presidential election in a couple of months. And who is more narcissistic? That's worth investigating, I guess, right? So let's hope for the best, by the way. Lest we should end up with even worse trouble than before. We had enough of trouble until now. Anyway, so that's that. I have to move down to overconfident CEOs. Thanks for watching.